Hello and welcome back to Analog Comics. At the beginning of this year, I visited the Angoulême comic book festival, and my past videos have been videos about the books that I brought home from them, but there was only a couple books in each videos. And since I thought that this is going forward too slowly, I'm going to now talk about the rest of them. There's 6 books in total here, and I'll go through all of them in this video. And I think the biggest thing combining all of them is that they are all sci-fi, which is not unusual, but it was also a plan that I made while I was there. When I went to that tent where you could buy these comics, I realized really quickly that there is no way to survive that place. There was just too many interesting comics. So I decided that, okay, I'll just focus on things that I'm most confident with, and that would be sci-fi. So what I did, I just went through the comics and I looked at the cover. Oh, that's sci-fi. I looked inside, great graphics, maybe it's good, I'll take that one. In short, that was my plan, and you can see it from the content of this pile. But in order to keep this short, let's look at the comics. Before going to the actual comic books, I'll show you one more freebie I got from the festival. Always nice to get some freebies, and this one was SPU Magazine, the latest volume. Well, this is December 23, and I was interested to see in what condition or what kind of magazine this is. This is actually my first physical copy of SPU I've ever had. Never read them before. The most amazing thing about this magazine is its age, not really the content. As you can see, the content is, at least currently, it's very child friendly. So this is clearly to aimed towards younger audience. And here's one homage to Lucky Luke in the new style. And in fact, there's a new album out by Bluch. I actually just bought this in Finnish 2 days ago. Haven't read it yet though. But yeah, so all the comics here are very child friendly, except the last one. Everything else is, at least to me, feels really child friendly. But then the last one is, let's see, it's here. This is Headshot. So this, like the last page makes this a bit more, well, I guess not so child friendly. But anyway, not really my thing anymore. This is definitely more for children. But this magazine, the SPU Magazine, started appearing in 1938, before the World War II. That's an amazing journey for a comic book magazine. It's nice to see it's still running. The first comic book here is Terror, T-E-R, by Rodolphe and Du Bois. I don't know either of the creators from before, and this is integral. So we got hardcover that contains 3 different volumes. So it's a trilogy in one hardcover book. And that's one of the things that I wanted to make sure when I bought it. I always asked, is this a complete story? At least that I was aiming for that. There were some deviations from that plan, but I wanted to have something that is completed in one book. The reason why I noticed this book was the cover. Well, first of all, the book is quite big. It's a big European album, and just to show you the size comparison, here is a trade paperback, US trade paperback. So this is quite big difference on the size. This was on display very well, and that deep blue color was also something that was easy to spot among those thousands and thousands of comics. And then I looked a bit inside. The inside cover was already like, wow. And there was something familiar about this art. For a while I was thinking, why am I feeling like familiarity with this? And it only took me about here, when I got like 10 pages in, I started to know this. The colors and the way the people are drawn. This gives me heavily the vibes that I get from Milo Manara, especially his Sandman story in Endless Nights. It was the story of desire. And there's the colors and the way people are drawn, eyes, mouths, everything. It has some Milo Manara vibes. The idea and the premise of this book is one that has been used in a science fiction many times. These people, they are living in a world that is riddled, like full of signs from a previous civilization or life. There are lots of objects that they don't understand even how they work. They find them and so on. And then there is an old prophecy that says that from this desert they will find person who comes from there, and he will lead these people to their certain destiny. Now, I don't want to reveal too much, but the way it goes that, yes, this person comes right in the first pages. They find this person, and suddenly he knows about these objects that no one else knows. So he understands what they are, and he can make them work. And slowly this story starts to evolve into something completely something else. Surprising things start to happen, and this story then takes a really almost a strange turn into sci-fi. Suddenly we are, I'll just show you some cool pages here. I mean, the graphics are really nice, really nice. But yeah, then if we jump ahead quite a lot, let's see some pages here, and now we are suddenly in space, and this is where it goes to, and you can see it from just by looking at the back cover, the covers of the albums also, that there's clearly machines here that are in space. So I don't think I'm revealing too much by saying that, because it's obvious just by looking at the covers. But this wasn't the strongest story, I guess, but it had the way it turned from that start to this. That was a surprising turn, something that I didn't see it coming, and I'm not sure if it's good or bad. But I know from the back cover, they have a list here of other books. I can see that this trilogy has a sequel, and it's called Terre, not T-E-R, but T-E-R-R-E. And there's 3 parts, so it's another trilogy by the same makers. So clearly it continues the story here. And after reading this, it's clear that there is possibility to that. Now, I don't, at the moment, if I would be asked, would you like to continue to read it right now, I would say yes. But then again, it wasn't something that I am massively invested into. Nothing, it wasn't bad and it wasn't magnificent. It was a basic sci-fi. Sometimes you just need that too, but the art is really amazing. That was clear from the start. One thing I have to mention is this list here. Although this book is made by Daniel Makhen, that is the publisher. What they do here is they list the creators' other books also from competitors. Like here is Du Bois, what he made for Le Lombard, and Rodolphe, what he made for Delcourt, Dargaud, Lombard, Glenard, all these big competitors. So I think this is very, I don't know if this happens in USA or other markets, but I think this shows the respect for the creators. That although you have your own publishing company called Daniel Makhen, you also list everything your creators made for your competitors. I think this is really cool. And I think I'll stop talking about this book with this last pencil work here. And And the next I'll show you two works from the same creator team, Runeberg and Grun. They are the creators for both of these comic books. And in fact, both of these comic books come from the same publisher as that TER I just showed you. Now the book here, Space Relic Hunters, this was a bit special for me concerning that festival, because this was the only one that I was looking for to find there. I knew Runeberg had done this comic, and I watched that it wasn't available in English or in Finnish, at least then, although the name is in English, Space Relic Hunters. But Runeberg, if you don't know, he's also the writer in Orbital. This is amazing sci-fi series. I highly recommend this. I have a video about this in my channel if you're interested. So when I stumbled on this book at the festival, I just took it. I knew I have to get it. But next to it, there was another book that I haven't heard of. It's also in English, the name On Mars. And also this one is not available in English or in Finnish. For some reason, same creator team, English names, but no English publication. I'm not sure if the idea of this is that they think that maybe it'll get the translation rights easier when it's designed in a more English way from the beginning. Not sure. But let's take a look at the Space Relic Hunters first. And as I mentioned, I was already familiar before going to the festival that this book exists. And as I found it, I just took it. This kind of European realism just works for me. And it's sci-fi also, so I'm kind of a sucker for this. The only downside of this is that this turned out to be the biggest disappointment of all of these books. Not because of the graphics. The graphics are, again, awesome. Grun has his own style of coloring. I don't think that the drawing itself is nothing unusual, but the way he does these colors, he has very like inked lines almost in the shadows and the shadings. And that was something that when you read this, it always, at least for me, it caught my eye. Very sharp lines between the shadows and different shades. The basic premise of this book is good. Space Relic Hunters. It's like Indiana Jones in space. That whole universe is full of old and forgotten religions. These people are looking for the artifacts. And the way it starts is also very Indiana Jones way, this whole scene. And I thought that, now we are into something really good. I like the way it started, but then the end of it wasn't that strong. And maybe some of it had to do with the humor. I think that was meant to be a humor at least. Like here, this is the strangest thing. Because of all these like millions and millions of religions that have been forgotten. Some of them still exist. And here, this woman, she's one of the main characters. The religion that she believes in, she has to drink this alien alcohol in order just to be drunk. And that will tell her what to do. Like when she is drunk, she gets ideas. And that's how she makes her decisions in life. Maybe it's the culture in Finland, which is already known not to spit in the class, that making kind of jokes with alcohol is very difficult. I don't mean that it's a sensitive subject. It's just very hard to be funny because you had all the jokes already. But as you can see, the graphics are spectacular. It's just the storytelling wasn't strongest point here. And this is one story in about 100 pages. And again, if we compare the size, it's the same thing. This is the US trade paper size, so it's the same size book as the TER. And again, in the back, the same thing as in the previous, the TER. There is a list of what these creators have made also for other publishers. This is a great way to just kind of promote your own artist, I guess. And then there are lots of sketches and drawings in the back. Okay, let's jump into the next one. Now, when I started to read this one, I was a bit suspicious, as I had just read that Space Relic Hunters from the same team, and I wasn't that happy about the writing on it. And I think that, well, I bought this book just because it was there next to that Space Relic Hunters. But already when I was buying this, I didn't like the cover that much. It was somehow a bit cliched, I guess. And starting to read this, it also went a bit like I had thought. So I thought that this will be a very like easy to guess where it goes. But then this turned out to be a happy surprise, especially the ending. The way it ended made me smile, because then I realized that this was more like what I like about Runeberg's writing in Orbital. Like here he was playing with my expectations. He was leading me to think certain way, and then that didn't happen. And it made me surprised, and I love being surprised. After reading so many books and comics for many decades, it's really hard to be surprised. And I like when that happens, when the rug is pulled out under from me. So the basic idea of this book is it's a penal colony in Mars. If you have been given certain level of a sentence on Earth, then you are sent to Mars to help build Mars. Basically, you're slave labor on Mars, and you are sent there to help build the colony there, do the hard work, the hard labor. And here we see the main character arriving. Just before she arrives on Mars, they do this surgery to everybody so that they can survive and breathe in Mars. And this is the prison ship that brings them in to the colony. And one of the twists is that there's already people living there, regular people from Earth who are not prisoners. So from the beginning we get this situation where we have happy people living their nice and easy life, while that easy life is built with those slaves, basically slaves from Earth. And the moral behind is that because they are convicted criminals, then it's okay. And this slowly leads to tensions, more and more violence, and then it starts to get out of hands. And this is a 3-part story. This originally was published in 3 volumes, 3 albums, and this is a collected edition, integral, as they say many times in Europe. And again, really nice graphics. And I will not show you the end. I will not spoil that in case you're interested. The only thing I have to say that it was a good ending. Let's see what I can show you. Is there some designs in the back? Again, the list of creators, other works. And then we get some pencil designs for the ideas in this book. So I was just happy to have this nice surprise after the Space Relic Hunters, that this one turned out to be much better than I thought. Sometimes it happens that way. And here it is, the best comic book I brought home from Angoulême Festival. In fact, this is already one of the best books I have. So, very big words. As far as I understand, this will be a trilogy, and the volume 2 is already out, so I have to make some kind of excuse so that I can make an order and get that also home. But as a start, as an as a start from for any series and as like a standalone comic book, this is 10 out of 10. There is nothing wrong about it. Everything is spot on here. And I knew I was going to buy this book without looking inside. I saw the cover and I knew I will buy this. It's the whole dystopian world. You can see that it's this end of or after civilization type of world. And then you have the tower. And the Latour, the name of the book, means tower. But it's also the graphics, the style. This, of course, is not the same for everybody, but for me, it was screaming this William Van style, old school European style. And yeah, I was hooked. This was love at first sight. And when I looked inside, it only got better. Here we have like a basic plan of the tower. They have different floors that are linked to the story. They are explained here, so you can a bit follow where certain things happen. And this tower is located in Brussels. It's year 2072. And the idea of this is that this is the top of the tower where they have greenhouse and they grow food. And why the tower is important? It is the refuge of humankind. The world outside, everything you see here is poisonous for human beings. Not for the animals, but for human beings. There's some kind of virus out there, and if you breathe the air, you will die. One of my biggest fetishes in science fiction is these dystopias, like the last man on earth type of stories where you have to survive in the ruins of the old world. And I have read most there is to read about those type of things, like all the books, all the comics. I kind of collect them. And of course the tower thing, it kind of gave the same idea as what's it in English, wool, where people live in these like missile silos underground. Of course you get the same type of feeling in that. But look at this art. This whole book starts by showing you how some of these people in this spacesuit looking overalls, they go outside and hunt for food. So there are this rare group of people who can go outside and hunt food for the rest of them, like animals that lives outside. And then inside the tower, it is controlled by this AI, which can become in many forms. And these graphics here, they have so heavy vibes of Druille, Moebius, all these things. Like this is pulling all the right strings, playing with my childhood, playing with all the aesthetics that I've grown to love in European comics. So that's a bit of science fiction fixed with the dystopia. And the nice thing about this, it's built like the story without a hero. I did a video just a few videos back. If you go to my channel and check a few videos back, I did a video about a comic called A Story Without a Hero. And the structure here is a bit the same. Throughout the first volume, we are shown the life inside the tower through many different eyes, through different people. But none of them seem to be the hero of the story. So it's just kind of slice of life, a day in the life of surviving in this tower. And you don't know where it's really going. It gives you an idea where it's going, but in reality, you don't really know. But the writer keeps steering your thoughts into certain direction and even giving hints that, okay, if you think this way, here are hints that that's actually going to happen. So the writer is kind of pulling your strings too, the reader's strings. I love it. And what is always important in this type of stories is the world building. And here it brings to the table a very interesting question. And I think this panel solidifies it. These people, they have lived inside this tower for a long time. So there are people who have been born inside the tower. It means that this youth, they have never stepped outside the tower. And it is painful for them. They see the world outside, but their life is restricted to this one tower, and they can only peek outside and wonder. I mean, just think about it, how strange that would feel to watch the world disappear behind the horizon. And these old people telling you just how far it goes, it just keeps going. And they tell you the stories of the old life, what happened in this building, how the world was. And this book also focuses a lot on that tension that comes from that. The young people suffering, really suffering, hearing all those stories, seeing this world. So that's one big tool in the story. And in the center of this all is the artificial intelligence trying to keep it all together. But what made this even better was the last page. I can't show you that, but that last page was so unexpected. And then you know a bit more where this is going. But it's like when you do a cliffhanger, that's the way you do the cliffhanger. And it came out of the blue, changed everything you thought that would happen in this story. I am so hooked. Even if this series is not as strong in the next volumes, this as a standalone book is perfect sci-fi. And as a dessert, I serve you Sillage. The sweet Sillage. I have a video about this series on my channel. It's in English, it's called Wake. I've been collecting this series in many languages. I have Finnish, English, Danish, German, and now French. It just shows you how committed I am to this series. And these are volumes 17 and 18. I already had the volumes 19 and 20 in German. And unfortunately, I read those volumes already, because while reading them, there were certain things that I didn't understand. There was like, I was missing these pieces of the puzzle, and now I have them. So now I understand why things were like they were in the albums that came after. Although Sillage, these albums are separate stories. You can basically read them in any order, though I don't really recommend that, because at the background there is a larger story running. And some of these albums might, well, they raise questions, possibly like, who is this guy? What is happening here? So it's easier if you just go through the space opera in order. And I'll just show you the graphics. Something that is inside here. I won't go into this in too much detail. If you're interested of Wake/Sillage, please check my video about that. One of my biggest, well, I'm a big fan of this. One thing I have to mention, while I was at the festival, there was already volumes 21, 22 and 23 out there. And I didn't buy them. I think I had already this kind of buyer's remorse at that moment. Now I regret that, because I know I will buy them anyway. And I had to think about the kilos. I couldn't buy too much, because then I would have trouble getting my back to the plane. But yeah, that was my excuse. But to be honest, there was so much good stuff in that festival that there was no right time to stop buying. I could have bought less, I could have bought more, and nothing would have been okay. So this is where I draw the line this time. And well, this is all I had now. So this is the third part for my comic haul from Angoulême. All of the books are shown now, and next I'll try to do some kind of quick survival guide for the festival itself. But until then, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.